Good morning everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia. Today's video, it is Sunday, and on Sundays I tend to do a bit of a weekly chat, homestead update, garden update, all that sort of thing. Today also I'm going to add a few extra things in because I did my 6-weekly grocery shopping trip this week, and I did the video yesterday for the haul. If you watched yesterday, it was a bit of a crappy sort of a trip, even crappier than usual because the car broke down on the way home, and then I had a good Samaritan help me out, which was fantastic, but it just made the trip even longer than normal. And then by the time I got home it was dark and filming it, and then yesterday's video that I got out of the thing, I forgot to put stuff in. So anyway, we're going to have a bit of a chat today about the grocery haul, the budget, the planning, as well as I'll give you a few quick updates on stuff in the garden because there's not a whole lot to update because I've been gone for most of the week as well. So there's that. I don't know if it's particularly visible, but I also have a wisdom tooth that's infected again. So my face is a little bit sore and probably a little bit swollen. So first up, I've actually got a little clip that I filmed while I was at Mum's place that I was going to do a bit of a planning video to show you how I planned my trip. I've shown the planner before, and this was just another show of how I do my inventories and stuff, and then I didn't put the video together, so I'm going to put that in here because that sort of starts off the shopping trip planning and things like that and shows you how I inventory things and explains that purpose. So I'll put that clip in here. Hopefully it slots in okay and fits. I don't even remember what I said on it, but hopefully it slots in okay. Just remember that this was done on Wednesday probably, and it's now Sunday. So I'm going to slot that in here. So have a look at that to see how we do the inventory of the pantry and stuff like that and start planning the grocery trip. So I have this planner that I use as a bit of a memory book, but also a planner, except that it kind of takes time to plan and I don't have a whole lot of time. So sometimes it's very much something that I come back to later on to do. So it becomes more of a memory book because I'm doing it in the future than a planner. But anyway, so I do things like this. I come back and I decorate it with photos of what happened in that week. I go back and mark out any specific days that I needed to remember, so when the chicks hatched and things like that, so that I can go back and look at them, but I don't necessarily do them at the time. Now this one's a gardening one, so it's got a whole bunch of stuff to help me with gardening, except that the garden isn't doing anything. So it's got all these logs and project sheets and stuff, and I'm not using any of it because my garden just is kind of non-existent. So what I do is I use it as more of a memory book. I come back and I decorate it and I use it, and then they go on a shelf and I can look back at them at all these little photos and what's happened and things like that. So, but what I do use in them is for planning out the grocery trips. So I have these little inventory sheets that I do up. I do have some printables but I'd run out of paper, so I hand wrote these ones. And so the inventories that I run, I have all the items that I regularly have on the pantry, and then I go out and I see how many are actually on the pantry at the moment. I have a base level that I like to keep, and then I have a column to say how much I need to purchase to bring it back to that base level. So I run these as like a ongoing inventory sort of a thing each month. And I have one in every month, and that helps me too because I can look back at the previous month's one and go, okay, this is how much I had left at the end of that month, and this is how much I needed to buy and things like that as well. So if I have them for every month, then that way I can scroll back and I can go, okay, that's what I had, that's how many I used. This gives me a good assistance to figure out my running pantry of actually what is used, not what I think is used. So this is this month's one, which will help me with my groceries today. I don't actually take my planner with me to the shops. I take a photo of it with my phone because the planner's bulky and I've got trolleys and everything else. But I have running lists for a whole bunch of things. So extra things for extra meals, like for Christmas. So like I get cranberry juice and frozen raspberries because I make my own jelly for my trifles. I've got golden syrup for baking this month. cream cheese because I'm going to make myself some cheesecake that can go in the freezer. I get Coke for Darryl for Christmas time. We don't drink Coke anymore at all, but I do buy it at Christmas time as a treat. And then, you know, bits and pieces of things, Kmart lists, all Christmas stuff. So I've got lists of how I'm working out Christmas gifts as well, and some plans for Christmas baking and things like that. So it's all in one spot, which is helpful for me, and it's really pretty, which is always nice. All right, so hopefully that helped with that. So the grocery trip is now done. So I've already done it the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, home Friday evening, filmed the grocery haul Friday night and put that video out yesterday, and today is Sunday. So I didn't give any values or anything of what I did for like any costs or anything yesterday because I just didn't have it set up. So I've gone through and written notes here about what everything cost. So this trip is going to last us 8 weeks, hopefully, because I'm not going back to Brisbane for 8 weeks. We may have to do a little bit of a top up in the middle in Toowoomba. Darryl might have to drive to Toowoomba to do that, but the majority of this will last us the 8 weeks. Darryl does buy some milk in town, occasionally some carrots and for the kids to snack on, sometimes some potatoes. It really just depends on what we've things that we might have run out of. But generally speaking, we don't purchase food during the 6 weeks other than milk. But being 8 weeks, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to go. So it was an 8-week shopping trip. So it was a bit bigger than normal. We also, as I explained yesterday, we have next to no stock left on the shelf. So no meat left in jars, very little meat left in the freezer. We've run out of frozen vegetables completely. We have some frozen fruit left for smoothies and stuff, but not a huge amount. Plenty of canned fruit though, things like that. So we were short on a lot of things, so I had to bump that up. Also, Christmas falls. Now, Christmas for us, one of the big things about Christmas is food. So we have a week of food that I don't always go to the effort to make, that we make at Christmas time. Part of our Christmas crafting and stuff is always making Christmas food, sugar cookies and icing them, and the ice cream that we've been making, and we do prawns and potato salad and seafood salad and things like that. So that kicks up the price as well. So overall, for the shopping trip, it ended up costing me, including fuel, because I include fuel in the cost of the trip because I'm going down there purposely for this. It ended up costing $2,472. Now, there's a lot of things in that are completely unusual, but if we break just that down, if we just ignore the fact that there was some unusual stuff in there, which I will talk about, but if we just break that down over 8 weeks, that is still only $309 a week. So I'm okay with that, even though it's a lot higher. My budget's normally about the $1,600 for the 6 weeks, so that's $800 more for an extra 2 weeks. It's okay. It's, of course we could get it lower, but it's okay. But in amongst that costings, so $1,400 was spent at Costco, which is about $400 higher than I normally spend at Costco. But at Costco, I bought the kids' blow-up pool, which was $65. I bought the giant leg ham, which we don't normally buy outside of Christmas, which was $75. And I bought 2 of the extra rolled porks, which is $100 worth. I also bought myself some cheese because it's Christmas and it was a treat, and it was about $45 worth of cheese. Now that cheese will last much longer than the 8 weeks, but there was 3 different types of cheese that I treated myself with. And I bought 12 litres of that olive oil because it was marked down, but it was still $90 for that 12 litres. So that was more than I would normally buy in one trip. At the fruit and veg store, I spent $195, and it was a fairly big shop, but it's pretty normal. So I got boxes of mangoes for $5, the boxes of apples were $20, and I bought a second box of apples because we've got the time between trips. I bought a box of oranges, a box of bananas, box of potatoes, box of carrots, so 20 kilos of carrots because I want to can up some soups. I got a couple of celeries because I want to can soups and stuff. Got some Asian vegetables as well. things like that. So it was a fairly big shop, but it was still, it's that $195, it was not very much money for what I got. I spent $187 at Woolworths, but in amongst all that was also some shopping that I got for Mum. It's sort of a thank you for staying there. So I cooked us dinner one night, and I cooked us some prawns, ravioli, a cream sauce, and then I did individual pavlovas with cream, mango, strawberries, things, a really fancy sort of a Christmassy type treat dinner that I cooked at her place for her. So it included that, and I also bought her some coffees to replace the coffees that I have, and they had a limited edition peanut butter Nutri-Grain, and Mum loves Nutri-Grain, so I grabbed that because it was a limited edition and I walked past and I thought it'd be nice. So there was $60 odd worth of extras in there. I spent $222 at Aldi, which had a couple of extras in there, but not a whole lot. I bought Christmas bonbons for Christmas Day, and I bought the kids some puzzles, and so, you know, that was $25 odd worth of extras there. What else was there? Oh, and of course, during the there was a Flybuys promotion with Coles. So Flybuys, for anyone who isn't aware, is a points collection system. You collect points every time you shop at certain places, and it adds up, and once you have 2,000 points, it is worth $10 cash. Well, $10 to spend somewhere where you can use Flybuys. And there was a promotion that if you spent $50 a week for 4 weeks, you got $50 worth of Flybuy points. So I have been sending some half price specials to mums every week, getting groceries delivered around about the $50 mark every week, so that I could get that last shop done and then claim the Flybuys. So there was around about $225 spent at Coles across that time. Again, I bought Mum some coffees and things like that in amongst that to say thank you. And there was some extras in there, like I bought myself some chocolate, you know, some Christmas chocolate. There was some Christmas bauble chocolate and some magical popping candy elves things, because I buy the kids lolly stockings and things like that. So there's, throughout this shop, there is some extras that are completely Christmas related only, and definitely not anything I would normally buy. But in saying that, I'm fairly comfortable with the price. So I reckon there's $500 to $600 worth of extras above and beyond what I would normally have bought if it wasn't Christmas, or if I wasn't doing a little bit of an extra stock up, which would have brought that price down to $1,800, $1,900, which is perfectly fine. But even if we disregard that, even if we go the full amount, which was the $24.72, as I said, that only works out to $309 a week over 8 weeks if I manage to make it stretch. And if anyone's been around here, they know that I'm pretty good at making it stretch. I don't go back, so I make it work, is how it happens. Now, Darryl is in Toowoomba today because he has an MRI booked this morning. So he is going to go and pick up someone noticed too. I always buy prawns at Christmas. We generally don't buy them any time of the rest of the year. It's just too much dollars per kilo for a meat, but we all adore prawns. So at Christmas time, if you go to places like Coles and Woolworths, they generally have the green Australian banana prawns, uncooked ones, available for about the $22 a kilo mark. And if you ask, you can buy a whole box, so you can buy them frozen. So we buy them frozen, we stick them in the freezer, and then we only pull out what we want to use per meal. So when we stretch it out over a week or two of being able to have prawns in a variety of different ways. So Darryl is going to pick them up today because I wanted to check Costco to see if they had any good pricing on some. So I didn't buy any at Coles because Costco's my last stop. But I knew that Darryl had to go to Toowoomba today, which is unusual, but I knew that was going to happen. So I'm going to get him to do it. And they're going to be free because of the Flybuys that I've done. So I saved Flybuys up previously over the last few months, plus the extra $50 worth of Flybuys, and I have about $110 worth of Flybuys, which will pay for the prawns. So that is nice. So the prawns will kind of be free. Not quite, but you know, like, because I have spent money to earn my Flybuys points, but I purposely don't buy things I wouldn't normally buy to earn the Flybuys points, to make sure that I'm not spending for the sake of spending. So that will pay for that. He will grab a few other bits and pieces that I forgot. I forgot to get frozen vegetables. I'm not entirely sure how, but I did. So it'll probably be another $30, $40 in frozen vegetables. I forgot to get the kids a pencil sharpener, but that's not grocery related anyway. So he will grab a few things while he's there. He's also going to buy himself some new boots. I buy them every Christmas for him. They're a Big W work boot that he finds very comfortable. They're about $40. They last about 12 months. So out here, you can't buy too expensive ones because of the grit and then the rain and everything else. They die just as quickly, so we're better off buying the slightly cheaper ones. So he will buy that today for himself as well. There's also a second bunk set that I'm hoping to get. I've tried to organise to collect secondhand off Marketplace that he will try and grab for me today. And he's seeing a guy about the aluminium rails for the ute tray that are damaged. So he's got a few things that he has to get done today for me, which is great. It means that I didn't have to do them while I was doing the trip. So normally we wouldn't go to Toowoomba to do these things just as an addendum. I'd make myself get it done, but it was just worked well that he has to go in there today anyway, though it would work better if it wasn't a weekend, because we do need the SodaStream CO2 gas bottle refilled, but none of those places are open on a Sunday, but that's life. So we will see how we go with that. So have I squirreled and rambled enough for that? This video is going to be long-winded, so you know, the people who are interested will watch it, the people who aren't won't, but that's fine. So that was the cost. I will put these numbers up on the screen or down in the bottom or something so you can reference them as well. I have kept my receipts, so if there's anything in particular that you want to know price on, just ask, because I do keep the spreadsheets of pricing to check what's going up and down. It reminds me I have to check that chicken price. I'm pretty sure that it's gone up, not down, by just a little under $1, like 97 cents or something per kilo for the chicken, but it's still cheaper than buying it anywhere else. So there's that. Anything else? I will go over the Christmas stuff in another video, the presents and stuff. Because we all live in the same space, I'm not going to be able to like spread anything out, but what I might do is of an evening, once they've gone to bed, is pull things out individually, take photos of what I've got, and then I will do a chat video like this, and I'll put little things in of the stuff that I'm talking about so that you can see what we've got planned and discuss the way we do Christmas with this many kids in minimal sort of space and that sort of thing, and how we budget it through. But yeah, so I'm okay with it. It felt like an awful lot of money to spend in a lot of different places, and it was, you know, but I had purposely put money away for this shop, knowing that it was going to be a little bit bigger than normal. And then with our lack of stockpile issues as well, then that's kicked things up too. I know everyone's in the same boat, that food and everything has gone up so much, and it's that everything has gone up by a little bit. It's not even necessarily that any particular thing has gone up hugely, but it's the fact that everything has gone up slightly, and it just keeps on increasing stuff over. It's hard, and I feel for anyone who isn't able to alter the way that they shop and that to compensate for it. Someone did ask why we shop so irregularly, and when we first moved out here, I used to do fortnightly. I used to go into Toowoomba and do it fortnightly, and basically it's an all-day trip to go to Toowoomba because it's an hour and a half each way, and then I have to go to Aldi and Coles and Woolworths and Kmart and Bunnings and whatever and do that. So every fortnight I was losing an entire day by going to Toowoomba, and I was spending around about $1,000 to $1,200 a fortnight by shopping there. I got interrupted by kids, sorry. So $1,000 to $1,200 a fortnight, because everything was a bit more expensive by being restricted to where I could shop. I couldn't go to Costco and things like that. Flour on its own at Costco, like baking flour at Costco compared to anywhere else, it saves me a fortune. The meat at Costco is consistently cheaper. The chicken, the pork roast and all that. Like, yes, when Coles has specials, it's great. But if I'm only going once a fortnight, then sometimes I'm missing those specials as well. And yes, I did try and do like click and collect in each set of specials to then pick up in the one trip. but the amount of work required, it was taking a lot of time and it was costing me money. So what I decided to do was I trialed going into Brisbane. I think I had an appointment anyway. I think I had to go to Brisbane anyway. And I thought, well, I'll try fruit and veg. And the fruit and veg that I go to now, which is Mega Fresh at Browns Plains, wasn't the first one I started going to. But it's the one that I very much prefer to go to now. But I tried going to Costco and things like that there and realized how much money I could save in the quantity of food that I could get for similar value. So initially what was happening was I was spending like the $1,000-1,200 a fortnight by going to Toowoomba. And then when I started going to Brisbane instead, and I was going monthly or weekly, I was spending similar sort of amount for 4 weeks instead of 2. I was spending $1,200 odd for 4 weeks instead of 2. Now, part of that was because things were cheaper. Part of that was because I was shopping at Costco and things like that. Fuel was cheaper at that point too. But the other part of it is that if I only shop every 4 weeks, then I have to make the food last for 4 weeks as well. So you don't have as much fresh food because you eat the fresh food in the first week or two. But you get used to canning stuff that you have to hold on to. You get used to eating the canned stuff as part of your meals, and you get the garden. Normally I would get huge amounts of vegetables out of my garden at this time of year. We would be completely inundated with tomatoes and zucchini, at least, turnips, kale, silver beet, all those sorts of things. This year is an anomaly for that, not the norm. So it is a little bit frustrating, but that does help when you're only doing 6 weekly shopping trips, is because you'd normally have all the fresh fruit from the garden. We are managing without a lot of frozen vegetables, which are not my favorite, but they fill a gap, and things like that. But so when we first started, I was spending the same sort of $1,200 per 4 weeks instead of 2 weeks. And part of that was the cheaper food, but part of that was adapting the way we were consuming the food, adapting the style of eating, adapting the portion control, and replacing things. So like if the kids run out of cereal in the first half of the month, because we don't have storage for me to buy a whole month's worth of cereal, not really. So they run out of cereal within the first couple of weeks. And hey, cereal's not the best choice of food anyway. And from that point forward, we do porridge, or we do baked oatmeal, or we do bagels with bacon and eggs, or we do frittatas or whatever. So there was an adaptation to that as well. So it was a lifestyle change as well as a location change for purchasing the groceries. And it wasn't an overnight change. So there was a lot of brain power required to alter the shopping style, but there's a lot of work required as well to allow those groceries to last that long. So a lot of preserving has to go on in the first week or two, whether it's freezing, cooking, canning, whatever, to make sure that food will last the whole time, and then portion control. And then towards the end of the month, there's a lot of work required in creativity of making food from what you've got, not being able to just pull something out of the fridge and use it. So we moved from the 2 weeks to the 4 weeks, and then I dragged the 4 weeks out to the 6 weeks because fuel is more expensive. It's because I'm losing 3 days by going down there and things like that. The longer we can go, the better. 6 weeks we've been doing okay. This next trip is 8 weeks because I have a neuro appointment in February, and I don't want to go, and it's 8 weeks away. So it's too short a time to go 4 weekly. So I want to wait for that one. And so this trip is for 8 weeks. We will see how it goes though, because as I said, the stockpile's a bit low, which is impacting things a little bit. So, but because we're going 8 weeks, it gives me more time to collect some extra cash up together to prop up the stockpile next trip as well, theoretically. So we will see how we go. So that was to answer why we do our shopping trips so far apart. It is working well for us. It is saving us money. It is making us more mindful of how we consume the food that we get. And the only issue at the moment is that a garden isn't producing as well as I would like. So that does impact things a little bit, but it just means that you make a different choice for certain things. So that's fine.
Now, what else did I need to cover? I'm not sure. That's most of the grocery sort of stuff that we were discussing anyway, that the questions that I had and covering that sort of, you know, stuff. In regards to the garden, as I said, there's not much to update at the moment because I've been away for most of this week, so I haven't done a whole lot. I haven't got the tomato plants out that I wanted to get out. There's some things that are going really well. The raspberries are really filling out. The tromboncinos have taken off. The beans that survived are doing quite well. The fruit trees are all doing pretty well, but it's not much different from last week, to be honest. So I might leave that, since I've rambled on long enough in this video anyway, and show you the garden again next week once I've had a chance to do some maintenance and things like that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much everything. The catch up this month. Again, the chickens, we have Darryl, while he's in Toowoomba, is going to drop into Bunnings because we're short a couple of pieces of timber to finish the chicken pen to move the tractor chickens out. So we'll finish that today, and I'll show that to you during the week. Once we get that, or we won't finish it today. By the time we get home, it'll probably be tomorrow by the time we finish it. And then we'll move the chickens out of the tractor and into the new pen, which they will adore because the tractor is getting very small for such large chickens. They're not very big, but you know, compared to what they were when we put them out there. So we will show you that. I did get a Christmas present from Mum while we were at Costco. I'll put a little screenshot here of it. So we're going to put that together over the next few days and give that a run as well. I'm hoping to be able to use wood with it instead of charcoal. We will see how we go. I might need to get another plate for the bottom, like a cast iron plate or a steel plate or something for the bottom, because wood burns a bit hotter than the charcoal. But I think I'll be able to adapt it well, which will be nice. I'm trying to move some of our cooking away from using gas because gas is going up in price, but also we have to collect it and store it and things like that. So that was kind of exciting. We pulled that off the ute, but we haven't put it together yet. We bought one set of bunk beds that I managed to get while I was in Brisbane, and Darryl's going to try and pick up another set today, and we're going to try and do a reorganization of the kids' rooms as well and make that a little bit better. But other than that, yeah, not much. So I will leave it there. This has gone on long enough, though it's pretty boring. I didn't even change my background or walk around the garden or anything else. But as I said, anyone who's interested to watch, anyone who isn't, that's fine too. So I will see you on the next video. Thanks guys so much for your support, and I will see you next time.